So you can take your feet wide and let your knees lean in against one another. Just make any adjustments so that you feel at ease, or as much at ease as you can today. And then take a sigh once you get there. Then taking a big inhale, wide, and another sigh. And then beginning to lengthen your breath. So as you inhale, still that wide inhale in through the nose if you can. And this time out through pursed lips to slow down that exhale. Let's do that again. Good, and then you can either keep breathing in this way, or you could go to your natural breath. You might use your Ujjayi breathing when you breathe out through your nose, but there's a slight constriction in the back of your throat, so you can make that breath long as well. And just notice what parts of your body are touching the floor. So you might notice where your feet are touching, and then your hips. And then noticing what parts of your back are making contact with the floor. You know, your low back, is it touching on one side and not the other, or does it feel equal? Is there a curve between your low back and the floor? Mid back, upper back. Notice how your shoulders are making contact, and then down each arm. And maybe your hands are on the floor, or maybe they're on your body. And noticing the back of your neck curving away from the floor, perhaps. And then the back of your head. And then taking your knees parallel, so feet and knees, hips distance. Just start to press the low back down to the floor. Okay, so pelvic rocks. And then rock your pelvis forward so you have more space between your low back and the floor, and repeat. And you could put your hands on the front points of your hips here and just notice how you're rocking your pelvis. How when you press that low back down, you know, that pelvis rocks back, or the back of it rocks toward the floor, and then the front hip points rock forward and the low back comes away from the floor. Let's do a few more of those, feeling that. And then let's come into neutral. So you've got a low back curve, so there's space between it and the floor, but you're not all the way rocked forward. And take a breath there. Good, and then let's hold behind your right leg, so bring the foot off the floor and just hold with your hands if you can reach. And we'll inhale, stretch the leg up, and exhale, bend, and just do that a couple of times. Okay, inhale up, exhale, bend. And can you keep your low back curve as you do this? Meaning that when you start to extend the leg, can you still have that space between your low back and the floor? You might not be able to straighten it all the way, or you might need to move the foot further away from your face in order to do it. Couple more. Good. Now the next time you straighten it, we're going to then come into a figure 4 stance. So the knee goes out to the right, your ankle crosses over the left thigh. And from here, you can spread your arms out to a T and just begin to gently rock the hips side to side. So just going not too far at first, just a little bit to one side, a little bit to the other. And can you have the knee pointing out to the right rather than in towards your belly? Is it possible to do that, or are your hips too tight to let that happen. If you want to, you could start to go a little further as though you're bringing the knee down to the floor on one side and maybe the right foot down to the floor on the left side. As you do this, use your exhale to rise back up. So when you get down to the side, pause, wait for your exhale, engage your abdominal muscles to come to the center, and then inhale, take the lower body to the other side. And then exhale, begin it, engage your abdominals, come up to the center, a couple more rounds. Really trying to focus on using your abdominal strength to bring the lower body back to center. Okay, now next time you come up to the center, you're going to take your right hand and gently press the right thigh so that the knee goes further out to the right. And just notice where you feel that. You might feel it a little bit in front of the right hip, or it might be somewhere else outside of the hip or inner thigh. It might not be much of a stretch for you. Now, if this is enough of a stretch, you can stay here, or you could thread the needle. So you could lift the left foot off the floor and either place it on a piece of furniture, or you could clasp behind the left leg with your hands. I've stuck my right hand through the little figure 4 hole here in order to clasp behind. And I'm using my right elbow to press that right knee more out to the right. I'm drawing my right toes towards my shin, or the top of my right foot toward my shin. So I'm in dorsiflexion. My ankle is not sickled. I'm drawing the top of the foot toward the shin. Good, another breath there. And then exhale, releasing slowly, bringing the left foot down to the floor. And as you inhale, reaching the right leg up toward the ceiling. And then exhale, bend the right knee, foot to the floor. Good. Inhale. And as you exhale, let's bring the left knee in and hold behind the leg if you can reach. And right before we start straightening the leg, notice, can you have that natural curve in your low back here? So can there be some space between your low back and the floor? And then you'll try to keep that as you inhale, straighten the leg, and exhale, bend. So in order to get that natural curve, you'll have to rock your pelvis forward like we did in those pelvic rocks. Okay, keep breathing. And notice if this leg feels more tight or less tight than the other leg, or the same. Relax through your jaw and your shoulders. Now it puts more stretch on the back of the leg when you have your spine in neutral or your pelvis in neutral. So you might find it's more challenging to get that leg all the way straight without pressing the back down. Good, the next time you straighten it, we'll come into that figure 4. So left knee goes out to the side, cross left ankle, and right away you're drawing the foot back into dorsiflexion. So the sole of the foot is facing the right and your knee is facing the left, bringing the arms out to a T, slowly begin to rock, just small rock, side to side. Just keep breathing. And then as you decide to make bigger rocks, if you do go down on the inhale to one side, and then begin your exhale first, engage your abdominals to bring the legs up to center, repeat. And as I come through the center, I'm keeping that natural curve in my low back, so I'm not pressing my low back down to the floor if that's possible. Okay, next time you come to the center, pause, and now we'll use the left hand to gently press the left knee or thigh out to the side, keeping that left ankle and dorsiflexion there. You could stay here, or you could thread the needle by lifting the right foot off the floor and clasping behind the right leg. Notice how this side feels. I'm also trying to keep a neutral spine here. It might be a lot harder to do. Might not be able to, but you can give it a shot. I just rock my pelvis forward, using my left elbow to press the knee out to the side, and noticing how it might feel different on this side. And slowly releasing that right foot down. And then on the inhale, uncrossing, stretching the left leg up toward the ceiling. And then exhale, bend the knee, foot to the floor. And take a breath in, press the low back down, and then breathe out, rock the pelvis forward. Then find neutral, take a breath in, and a breath out. Good. Now, on your next exhale, let's bring both knees in toward the belly. You could hold above or below the knees. And just give them a squeeze any way you want to at first. You might rock or make circles. Good. And then noticing your contact with the floor, with your low back. Let's, on your inhale, squeeze the knees in tight, and you'll feel the low back press down to the floor. And then as you exhale and the knees come away, I'm still holding the knees, they're just coming relatively away. And now I've got my curve between my low back and the floor, and then repeat. And noticing how that is on your body. Like, can you draw them in close? Is there pinching in the front of the hip, or is it feel fine to do that? Is it the same on each side? And then are you able to get that low back curve when you bring the knees forward? Okay, so you're just bringing awareness to this whole area of your body. Okay, now your choice. You could curl up into a ball and rock yourself up. You might want to hold behind the knees. Or you could put your feet on the floor and roll to one side to come up. Okay, from here, we're just going to come into our side seat. So I've got one leg in front, knee out to the side, both knees are bent, other knee with the foot bent behind, or the knee bent behind. Can take your hands behind you, try to lift the knees up, roll over the feet, take them down to the other side. Now, if this doesn't feel good on your hips or your knees, any part of your body, you could windshield wiper instead, right? You could just stay here and not let them come all the way down. Just kind of go side to side, or even be on your forearms, leaning back further, okay? Okay, now let's end with the right leg in front. Okay, now if you can sit like this, some people might feel better if you prop up the knee with a blanket or a pillow in the front. You're welcome to do that. And then I'm gonna, if possible, I'm going to take the back knee back. So I've got 90-degree angles, but you don't have to, okay? If that doesn't feel good to you, you can stay right where you are, all right? Now I'm gonna change so you can see what I'm gonna do next. Now I'm going to bring my right elbow down to the floor. And do you see how I've got the elbow lined up with my right hip? Okay, see, I'm here. So I'm not here, right? I'm here. It's next to my hip. You can pad the elbow if it's, hurts to put weight there. Okay, just see how this feels. Then inhale, stretch your left arm along your ear. Let's get really long through the arm if you can. Take a couple breaths. And stay lifted out of that bottom shoulder, so I'm not letting it sink. I'm lifting out, keeping strength there. Good, and now let's take that left hand to your left hip. So I'm gonna try to keep this left hip exactly as it is right now, all right? And I'm going to instead move my shoulder and upper body. So from here, we haven't done this one in a while, I'm going to exhale and round my upper back as though I could take my left shoulder down to my right hand down here. Notice mine's not anywhere near, because in order to get it there, I would have to move my left hip around to get it there, right? So instead I'm keeping my left hip where it is, and I'm just rounding it. That'll be my exhale. Now on the inhale, I'm going to roll that shoulder blade down my back, again, keeping the hip where it is, and I'm opening up across my chest. Okay, repeat. So I'm exhaling, rounding the back, shoulder points toward the right hand. Inhale, and you can go at your own pace. Rolling that shoulder blade down the back. Do a few more. Okay, now the next time you open up, cross the collarbone, just pause. And now, can you lift up off of your elbow? And we're just going to change sides. So you can take your hands behind your back, lean back to help yourself. Switch around, left leg in front, right leg goes back. And again, make sure this is okay in your body. You can change it or use props. You could try to take 90-degree angles if that works in your body. And then the left elbow will come down out straight from the left hip. We'll lift out of this shoulder here, and we'll begin by just reaching the right arm along the ear, getting long there, even through your fingertips, getting long, and straightening the arm if you can, and breathing. Big, wide inhale, and long exhale. All right, and then bringing that right hand to your hip. Again, we're going to try to keep that hip exactly as it is, if you can, without moving. And we'll begin with an exhale, rounding the spine. Right shoulder points down toward left hand. Inhale, shoulder blade comes down the back, spreading across the collarbones, and repeat at your own pace. Okay, now staying in that open position. And then slowly pressing yourself up. All right. Now, if you are near a piece of furniture or a wall, we're going to take our back to it and sit in Baddha Konasana, which is with the soles of the feet touching. If it's too, if it doesn't work for you to get to that, that's fine. You don't have to have your back against anything, but it'll help give you feedback on if your spine can be in neutral or if you have to round. Now, some people will find it impossible or it will feel impossible to not round, right? Like this is rounding. And if that is how you feel, it will make it easier to come up on a pillow and sit up on a pillow or a block. Okay, you can also prop up your knees if this bothers them. And the knees or the hips, either one, okay? Okay, so once you get there, the wall or the furniture can do the work of holding you upright, right? And try to rock your pelvis forward. In fact, I'm going to show this at the wall. I think you'll be able to see me over here. So if I come against the wall, I'm going to rock my pelvis forward so that I have more of an upright spine. Right? So this would be me rocking my pelvis back, like when we did pelvic rocks on the floor. It's me rocking it forward. I know you can't see this other knee, but my pubic bone has come forward. And when I do that, I get more of a stretch in here as well. Right? Let's take a few breaths here. Your arms can be wherever they feel best. I'm feeling the balls of my feet touching, the heels of my feet touching. Reaching my knees out away from my ankles. I'm going to calm your eyes and your breath. Let's take a few more. Notice if your jaw is tight. See if you can relax your jaw and bring the back of your head in line with your upper back. All right. And now you can bring those knees up and stretch your legs out in front of you. I guess I should have been back here, huh? And if you can, straighten your legs all the way, go for it. Okay. And I'm doing the same thing here. I've got my back of the head against the wall, if you can. And got that space, right? You can always put a pillow beneath the knees if it's too hard to straighten them all the way. And I've rocked my pelvis forward, it's just going to neutral, okay? And I'm going to pull my toes and the tops of my feet back towards my shin so my feet are in dorsiflexion. And if you put your arms down next to your hips, you're in staff pose with a wall prop. Let's take a couple more breaths. Again, calming your eyes, feeling yourself spread across your collarbones, softening your jaw. As you inhale, you can imagine you're inhaling all the way down to your pelvic floor, wide. And then as you exhale, imagine the pelvic floor is lifting up. You may not feel that, but it naturally would lift upward. Almost like you're zipping up a zipper in the front of your pants, a little engagement. You can add that in. One more. Good. And then just kind of bouncing around your knees a little bit. We're going to come up onto our feet now. So you can do that depending on where you are in the room, any way that works for you. Bear get up. We're using the wall. Come all the way up to standing and inhaling, reaching your arms up. And exhale, arms out to the sides and down. Just do some ankle rocks. If you want to, you could have the back of your chair present for a little balance support. We're trying to face our feet straight forward. Inhale, lifting heels. Exhale, rocking back, dorsiflexion, lifting the bottom of the feet off the floor if you can, just rocking back on those heels. You can use the chair or not. Try not to lean into the chair. So we're not hinging at the hips. I see some of you guys kind of going like this when you rock back. We're just staying upright, okay? Nothing is hinging except for the ankle joint, all right? Well, and the toes, okay? That's it, you guys, good. Good, a few more of those. Maybe feeling your calves and your shin muscles warming up. Okay, and then let's just place the feet down and stand for a moment in mountain pose or Tadasana. Feel all 10 of your toes, the balls of your feet, softening your jaw, relaxing your shoulders. Okay, now let's roll the ankles, tracing around the outer perimeter of one of your feet. And you can look down at it if you'd like and try to see, are you getting the whole foot, or is there a part of your foot that's hard to get to? And then reverse it. Good. Now before we switch sides, let's stand on both feet again and pause. Try to tune your senses inward and just notice the difference between the two sides. Breathing in and breathing out. And then we'll do the second side. And again, you can look at it, that helps your brain to notice what your mobility is, and it can help increase it just by noticing like, oh, I don't go to that part of my foot. Can I or can I not? Reverse directions. And then just come back to Tadasana. Notice again, both sides. All right, you guys, now let's bend the knees just a little bit, just soften them, and place your hands on your hips. I want you to just try that same pelvic rocking motion we did on our backs, okay? So you can bring the pubic bone forward, right? This would be when we pressed our low back against the floor, and then rock your pelvis forward. This would be an exaggerated low back curve, and repeat. And of course, noticing if you have any low back trouble, if either position bothers it, you can make the movement smaller. You may not have a lot of movement because of various injuries or just lack of mobility. Okay, now can you find neutral? So neutral might feel like more of a curve than you're used to if you're used to tucking your pelvis. So in neutral, your pubic bone will be a little bit back and under, okay? Rather than pushing forward like this. This would not be neutral. In my body, of course, everybody's body is going to look a little different, right? But in my body, this would be me tucking my pelvis under, pubic bones forward. This would be neutral, all right? Okay, now we'll come over, so you've got the back of the chair in front of you. You're going to take our right leg forward and our left leg back into warrior one legs, but get close enough where your fingers could touch the back of the chair. My feet are hips distance, and I'm going to, my back heel is down if that feels okay. You can turn the foot out enough to do that. Have the ball and heel of both feet on the floor if you can, okay? And then from here, I'm going to bend my front knee. Might need to readjust so that the knee is over the ankle, as long as that's not hurting. And it's forward facing for the most part. Your back hip might be a little bit to the side if you had to turn out your foot, okay? Good, so I've got that knee bent. I'm in warrior one legs. Your arms could be just at your sides. Good, inhale. Good, now I'm trying to say, if you can not hold on, see if you can tilt your pelvis here. Okay, so I've got my hands on my hips. I'm just showing from here. I might need to bend my knee, my back knee, in order to tuck my pelvis under. You see that? To bend that back knee. And then when I untuck, I'm actually just coming to neutral. I'm not like going past it. I straighten my legs. So you're feeling the same motion in this position. Okay, now let's stay in not the tucked one, but the untucked. And scoot your right hip back and start to hinge forward. Now you can put your forearms on the back of the chair, or you could take your hands underneath. You may need to, depending on the type of your chair you have, you might need to switch it around. So I'm sticking my tail up and back as though if I had a big fluffy squirrel tail, it would be going up toward the ceiling. And so I've kept my pelvis untucked. Then I'm going to relax my neck. And most of the weight is on my feet. I've just got my hands and fists on the chair for balance here. You can use your forearms too, doesn't matter. Got a couple breaths here, feeling the balls and heels of both feet. And notice, what else are you feeling? Are you getting tight in your jaw or your neck or your back calf? Might be getting a stretch. Okay, now before we move, we're going to just shift that right hip back a bit more, just so you feel your hip turn on and engage. And exhale, engaging your abdominal muscles. Now you can use your hands pressing on the chair to come up, or you can try to let go and use the strength of your legs and core to bring you up. And then just step that leg forward. Pause for a moment. Inhale and exhale. Good, inhale, stand tall. And then exhale, left leg forward, right leg back, just getting yourself set up in the warrior one legs. Okay, feet hips distance apart. So to see it from the front, you can see I'm not on a tightrope here. I'm lined up like two tracks.
right? For me, I have a lot of ankle flexibility, so you'll see my back foot is pointing forward, but you might not be able to do that. You might have to turn the foot out to the side in order to put the heel down, okay? But for the most part, it is a forward-facing warrior, and the front knee is lined up over the front ankle, so you can make all those adjustments as needed. And then when you're ready to, if you can put your hands on your hips, go for it. And we'll try this, bend the back knee as you tuck the tail under and untuck it, and just keep breathing. Doesn't matter when you breathe. And notice, do you have movement here? Okay, now let's leave it in the neutral pelvis, so the untucked, right? And from here, you can take your hands to the chair if you'd like. Now, you're scooting this left hip back. That's just squaring the hip, basically. And then exhale, folding forward any amount. So it's a hip hinge. We're trying to keep a neutral spine. So we've got that big, fluffy squirrel tail going up toward the ceiling. And then you can relax your neck. You might be trying to get that squirrel tail by jutting your chin forward, but you can just let the neck relax. You could bring your hands down to the seat or keep the forearms on the back. Keep breathing. I'm feeling the ball and heel of each foot. Good. Now I'm going to re-engage by just kind of scooting that left hip back, feeling like I'm squeezing my legs together, so that when I exhale, I'm going to try to lift without using my arms. It's going to engage my core and come up and then step forward. Good. And then taking the feet a little wider, can do a swing and a twist. Letting those arms flop around. All right. Now we'll want the chair seat facing us. And I think we did this last week, but I can't remember the week before. But you're gonna take the feet wide. So from the front, looks like this. Okay. Feet are facing forward. You can turn on your mat, do whatever feels best to you. You can put a little bend in your knees and do the same thing here that we've been doing. Okay, so the tuck and the untuck. The tuck and the untuck. And notice how it is in this position. Okay, now we're gonna leave it in the untuck. Some people might be able to straighten their legs. Other people will need to keep them bent. As you come down, and the reason why you might need to bend it, just put your hands on the chair. The reason why you might need to bend your knees is so that you can still have your fluffy squirrel tail pointing up. Now again, no weight on the hands, they're just for balance, okay? So don't get all up in your shoulders, you guys, to relax your shoulders, stay down your back, right? And you're just breathing, feeling the balls and heels of both feet. You're gonna inhale, take your left hand to the center of your chair, take your right hand to your hip, and exhale, bend the left knee as you turn your chest to the right. And inhale, straighten the left leg, bring your right hand down to the chair, left hand to hip, bend your right knee. As you exhale, twist your chest to the left. And we're gonna repeat. Okay, I'll keep saying it so you get it. Inhale, left hand comes down, leg straighten. Exhale, right hand to right hip, left knee bends, twist to the right. Keep going. Okay, next time you go back to your first side, if you want to, instead of having the hand on the hip, your arm might reach up. You could just stay there for a moment. I've still got my left knee bent, but you could also have your left leg straight. You can see what you like better. And if that doesn't feel good on your right shoulder, you just keep it on your hip. And when you're ready, come back down. Now your other hand down. Left hand comes to hip at first, right knee bends, or you could take the arm up. If that doesn't feel good on the shoulder, bring it back down. You could always straighten your right leg as well. Good, then exhale, come out. Now let's get that big fluffy squirrel tail back, right? So you've got your hands on your chair, you're tilting your pelvis forward or down, and then you might stay here, or you could fold further if you want. You might rest your forearms on your chair, relax your neck. You're not putting weight on the chair, much weight. You're feeling the balls and heels of your feet and your neck just allowing it to let go. And now when you're ready to come up, let's inhale and extend your spine forward again. And exhale, bend the knees, taking your weight back towards your heels. And then inhale, stand up. Good. We'll wiggle the feet closer together. And exhale and just stand for a moment. We'll inhale, reach your arms up. And exhale, bring them out to the sides and down. All right, we're going to take the feet wide again. Now, if you need balance support in front of you, we're going to be coming into goddess pose with the toes out a little bit, heels in. You could have your chair in front of you. Okay, I'm going to move mine out of the way so you can see. So when we come into this pose, you may remember that when we bend the knees, we want to have our knees open the same amount as our feet. So say you don't have a lot of opening through the hips, feel free to open the feet less, right? Does that make sense? So that when you bend the knees, your knees aren't going like this, right? You've got to be able to open them as wide as the feet. Okay, so just test that out a little bit and then straighten once you feel like you've got it in the right spot. Okay, I'm going to show from the side. I'm going to rebend. I'm going to do the same thing we've been doing, okay? This tucking under and untucking, okay? Tucking under and untucking. Good. Couple more. Can you still have your shoulders over your hips, upper back, lined up with the back of your sacrum? Oh, let's move it a little bit. Good. And then stand. Pause. Inhale. And exhale. Okay, we're going to bend again. We're going to stay in this neutral position. So not tucked, right? Neutral. And inhale to open up your arms. Exhale, we're crossing the right arm on top of the left. Either a hug like this or eagle arms like this. So whichever works for your shoulders, okay? Relax your shoulders away from your ears, but lift the elbows if you can, okay? And from here, you're gonna inhale and exhale, turn your upper body toward the right slightly. Inhale back to center. Exhale, turn your upper body toward the left. Inhale, center, each side again. Okay, then inhale when you come back, open arms, and exhale, stand. Good, now let's just wiggle the feet back towards center for a moment, shake it out a little bit. Notice how that felt in your body. Make sure your knees are feeling okay, your hips are feeling okay. If they feel sore or they're hurting, you might bend less, right? You might bend the knees less. You also might not turn the hips out as much if it's too much, all right? We're gonna do that again with the other arm on top in a moment. Okay, so we've got our feet turned out only as much as the hips can turn out. right? Heels grounded, and then bend. We're in a neutral pelvis, so we're not tucked, neutral, all right? Gonna inhale, open the arms. Exhale, left on top of right, either for a hug, I'll show it that way this time, or eagle arms, okay? Pause. On an exhale, I'm gonna turn to the left first. Inhale, center. We're gonna do each side twice. Exhale, right. Inhale, center. Exhale, turn. Inhale, center. Feel those legs working. Exhale, turn. Inhale, center. Good. Pause, inhale. And stand. Good. Wiggle back to the center. Let's inhale, roll the shoulders up. Exhale, take them down your back. And again, inhale up. Exhale, down your back. Okay, now I know those goddess poses can be interesting, right? So they can be interesting for your knees and hips. So just stand again in Tadasana and notice how the goddess pose affected your body, all right? Standing here, breathing in and breathing out. All right, we're gonna come back in front of the seat of your chair.
Please roll.
Just standing for a regular forward fold, but we're gonna focus on that same neutral pelvis, okay? So we'll keep our hands on our hips and soften the knees just so you can do a few rocks, right? And just notice it. So you're getting your mind in there, your attention, and then take it into neutral and then keep going. So for a hip hinge, you keep going. The pubic bone keeps going back and under. You may need to bend the knees more in order to get your hands down, right? So just bend your knees as much as you need to have your fluffy squirrel tail going up toward the ceiling. As long as it feels okay on your back, you can stay here. You might also like to fold further, which will put some rounding into your spine, but you can keep working on that squirrel tail. And you can always put your forearms on the chair, or your hands on your legs. Relax your neck somewhere, and let's take a couple more breaths there. Feeling the balls of your feet, the heels of your feet. You can notice what it's like if you want to try to straighten your legs, if that feels okay. You can notice what that's like. Good, and then when you're ready to, you can inhale, rise back up, or not to standing, but just to extend the spine forward. Good, and then exhale, we're coming down to the floor. So you can bring one knee down and then the other. Good. All right, we're gonna come down onto our bellies. And at first, you can prop your head however you'd like. Some people might need a rolled up blanket below their ankles. Feel free to do that. You might prop your chin or one ear down. And let's try to feel a little bit of rocking of the pelvis in this orientation. So to do that, I'm going to inhale. I'm gonna press my pubic bone down like we usually do when we do back bends here. And I feel my glutes engage. And then I'm going to exhale, take my pubic bone back so it's not pressing into the floor. It's like the hip points kind of roll forward. And repeat. And let's do that a few times. Notice what it's like here. Now let's press the pubic bone down and keep it there and come into Sphinx pose. You can even try engaging the lower belly and spreading across the collarbones, right? So the opposite of what we're doing when we're forward folding, right? In this one, the pubic bone is coming forward. All right, and then just come back down and you can rest. You can wiggle waggle your hips a little bit if you'd like. and now we'll come back to our Sphinx pose, pressing pubic bone down, coming up. You can engage your lower belly. Now, if you want to, you can do little cobra push-ups if you'd like. With that, what I mean by that is my hands are going to stay the same if I'm in this kind of Sphinx. And then I might inhale, lift the elbows off the floor, keeping my shoulders away from my ears, and then exhale, lower, and repeat, provided that it's not bothering my low back. I am keeping my glutes engaged the whole time. I've got some lower belly engagement as well as I do this. And my shoulders are staying away from my ears. They're not shrugging up there when I lift my elbows. You can even try holding this kind of cobra-ish pose. And then when you're ready to, coming on down, can bend those knees so the feet go toward the ceiling, and windshield wiper the lower leg side to side. Now, for some of you, child's pose will feel okay from here, so you can find your way to child's pose. Some of you that can't put that kind of weight on your knees, you can roll on your back and bring your knees into your chest. Okay, so either one. Choose which one you prefer. Here's child's pose. And now we will come back up to a seat. You don't need the wall this time, but you're welcome to use it if you want. We're coming back to staff pose with legs out in front. Now, remember, if you're having trouble sitting upright and finding that neutral pelvis, just a simple folded blanket or a pillow can really help, and so can a block. And you can try a few rocks here as well. I'm sorry? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we're having trouble with computer trouble, so we keep
Okay.
not.
Okay, but you can hear me, Janet? Okay, all right. Okay, cool. All right, so doing that same pelvic rock, but in staff pose, right? You got your legs out in front. Again, like say you're really tight in the backs of the legs. Some people won't be able to straighten their legs. You can put a pillow there and do it. Okay, that's fine too, okay? And then feel where you can be upright. Now, if you need to have back against the wall for low back support, go for it, all right? If not, you can stay here. And I'm just pushing my hands. So staff pose is like this very strong pose seated in this L shape. Okay, you could put your fists down into the floor and spread across your collarbones like this, engage the legs. My arms are even engaged, or your hands, the palms might be on the floor too. And in that case, I have my fingers pointed forward and I'm engaged, I'm spread across my collarbones. So it's a strong pose, even though it's just a seat, and I'm breathing. Okay, and then relax. Coming onto our backs, we're going to need that strap now. Okay, if you don't have a yoga strap, doesn't matter, you could use any kind of exercise strap or scarf or a belt. And come down onto our backs. You might want head and neck support, that's fine here too. We're going to be taking the strap. Well, first just pause. Going too fast here. Take a sigh or two. And as you're here settling for a moment, can you notice if you've got that low back curve or if your low back's pressing? It's not, none of this is about being a perfectionist about any of these positions. It's about becoming aware of your alignment and what your pelvis is doing, what kind of mobility and range you have, okay? So yeah, it's not about being
in a perfect position. It's just about being aware. All right, I'm gonna take my strap now. I'm gonna put it around the bottom of my right foot and try to extend the leg all the way straight. It doesn't matter what part of the foot you're on, okay? So just do whatever works for you today. And then hold it in a way that doesn't strain your wrists or hands. And now, can you rock your pelvis forward so you've got this low back curve? Okay, see if you can do that. You might need to move the foot, let out some slack and move the leg away a little bit more, but see if you can also get that leg totally straight. Now, some of you that are more flexible here might also straighten the left leg on the floor, but my guess is that many people won't be able to have that low back curve and have their bottom leg straight. So you can just see how that is for you, and the top leg straight. All right, keep breathing. You can even use, you don't even have to have any kind of scarf or anything. You could just use a shirt or a sweatshirt. I've used a blanket to hold my foot. Let's take a few more breaths. Big wide inhale, long exhale. And so, we often talk about what just functional range, functional mobility is. And so with that hamstring stretch like this, or the back of the leg stretch, ideally you'd be able to work toward getting this leg at a 90-degree angle to your torso with this neutral pelvis. You don't have to be able to do the splits or anything, bring it all the way to your head. But if you're not there, then this would be something to work on. And to gain flexibility, it takes a lot of time commitment, especially as we get older. It means like stretching it for a minute a few times a week, or stretching it for 30 seconds every day and really holding it. Okay, now let's put both ends of the strap in that right hand. And now we're slowly gonna keep the neutral pelvis, okay? I kept having to check mine and taking that leg out to the right. Now, if you have a piece of furniture there, feel free to rest it on that furniture. Like if I were to turn, I could orient myself so I could just rest it on this chair seat. That's fine too. I don't want you to be straining, so when you're doing these longer holds, you want to be able to keep your breath calm as you stretch. Okay, now from here, you're going to use an exhale, so engage your abdominals to bring that leg up to the center again. And now you may need a prop on your other side. We're going to take the leg across. Now, my right hip is going to come off the floor. Here, I'll show it from this angle. I'm going to extend my right arm out to the side so I could land my left leg. I could use the wall. Like if I were here, I could use the wall and land my foot on it, or a piece of furniture. If you don't have anything, you might need to bend that right knee to get it to just be able to relax a bit. So it's totally fine to bend the right knee and be in more of a twist for a moment, but I've still got the strap in my left hand, both ends. Again, you want to have a calm breath. Okay, now we're going to bend the right knee with the foot on the floor as though you were or your prop, as though you were, just bending it to a right angle, and then try to straighten it, holding the strap. And then again, you're bending it. And I'm in dorsiflexion with that ankle, and I'm straightening it. So I'm still in the twist. And straighten. straighten and bend and straighten. Good. Next time you straighten, pause for a moment. And then bend it again. And come back up to the center. Release your foot, straighten out both legs on the ground. Follow your breath in and out. And then we'll bend both knees, feet on the floor. Place the strap around the left foot, extend it up. Again, we're looking for straight upper leg and then a neutral pelvis. So rocking your pelvis forward. You can hold the strap however it works best for you. If you can keep that pelvis in neutral and the upper leg straight, you could always straighten the bottom leg, but that might be quite tough to do. Calm breath, shoulders, jaw. Now taking both ends of the strap into your left hand, we'll now keep that pelvis in neutral, then take the leg out to the left so you can land it on a prop or the wall or furniture, or you could take it to land on a pillow, block. Now as you're ready to, use an exhale to bring that leg back up. And then switch your hold to the right hand, extend the left arm, start to take that leg across your body. Remember, you can bend the knee and you can also land it on something. I forgot to mention on the other side, but you'll probably want to straighten the right leg on this one. So the bottom leg. Big wide inhales and long exhales. And let's work from a bent knee position and go to a straight leg position. So getting the foot to land on the floor now and bend the knee so you can have it there. And then you just straighten it as much as you can, holding onto the strap. You guys, and then staying in that twist with the knee bent. Gonna exhale, come back up to the center and release your strap and straighten out both legs on the floor. Pause, noticing. And then if there's any position, like if you want to hug your knees or windshield wiper before you rest, go for it. Okay, so you could draw your knees in, or you could windshield wiper, and then finding your way to Shavasana. So straightening out both legs. And for you guys that are here live, I'm just going to talk you into it and then let you rest on your own. So getting yourself comfortable and then taking a few sighs. Again, noticing the orientation of your pelvis, but it doesn't matter how it is, okay? Just let it be however it feels best. And can you let go of as much effort as possible